Dude, 5-0 this week.
Come on.
It's been cooking for a while, man. It's been cooking for a while. I mean, there was a lot of slander, there was a lot of hate from the committee, from the commissioners, as to your takes week 1, and a bounce back was really needed. A bounce back was really needed. I mean, I'm going to
Yeah,
give you
I
the
had
floor just to talk about, like, your mindset going into this episode, right? You got to be on cloud 9, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a great feeling, being able to prove all of the people who were hating on me last week wrong. Sometimes in this business, you're gonna make takes that don't fly.
Yep.
That's just gonna happen.
I mean, look at Skip Bayless. He's made a career out of it. You know what I mean? Like, they're just guys that can do that.
I think I might be one of those guys. And look, I got a low floor. I'm going to make some bad takes.
Yep.
I got a real low floor. I got a real high ceiling too. And I think last week we saw both extremes of that spectrum. Look, I'm going to be the first to say it. I made a bad take week 1. Made a lot of really good takes week 2, though. I'll tell you what, made a lot of really good takes, and expect less of them.
Yep. Expect less of them. That being said, we are carrying the momentum train into week 3 here. We're going to be doing our picks a little bit later. And I mean, we're trending upwards, right? Like, week 1 performances were bad across the board. You don't really know what you're looking at week 1. Week 2, everyone knows what's going on, right? It's so easy to pick football. And week 3 is really where the test sets in, right? So this is the official week. This is the one that really counts, in my opinion.
Look, I was getting a lot of hate after the first week. I was winning in picks after week 1 too.
Yeah, but it was more so about the story post, the excessive
bad,
celebration on the
shrouded in the one horrible take. There was pretty good ones too. So look, a lot of people were coming at me saying, "You're losing your credibility, Jack." They were coming at me. They were saying, "How can I trust anything that comes out of your mouth?" Fuck them. I'm back.
You're back.
Let's make some takes.
Let's make some takes. Before we get into that, let's talk about some of the stuff that happened last week, because a lot happened in the football world in week 1, and then even more happened in week 2, which is the craziest part. I think the biggest thing to take away from week 2 is a question that I have for the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career he's ever sat at 0-2 going into week 3. How do they respond? Because honestly, they've looked poor in 2 games that I feel like they were favored to win. Maybe not against the Eagles, but against the Chargers for sure. This offense isn't clicking. Of course, you don't have Rashee Rice right now. You don't have what's his name? The receiver.
Xavier Worthy.
Thank you, Xavier Worthy. And I mean, their defense was better last year, but wasn't the thing that this team really held its hat on going into the playoffs. It was mostly the offense. And they just haven't been clicking offensively. And this is the first time that I think I've seen an Andy Reid coach team like the Chiefs, one that's been so dominant for the past 5 seasons, look so out of sync. And I think the question that I have for the Chiefs going into week 3 is, you have another one of these games, right, where you are the favorite. You're a 7-point favorite going into New York, who just played probably the best game that they're going to play all year, despite the fact that they lost. Russell Wilson threw for 450 yards and 3 touchdowns. I don't expect him to do that again against a better secondary in Kansas City. But what is the thing that you're looking for to see them respond here? Do they need a big win? Do they need to just get a win, something in the win column? Like, I'm really perplexed as to the direction of the Kansas City Chiefs, even more so if they end up somehow losing this game.
Yeah, and I think that you speak to every Chiefs fan right now. I think that they're all asking the same questions. I believe this is probably the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career that he's lost 3 straight games going back to last year. It's the first time Andy Reid's done it in a very long time. And I think that you're coming off 2 weeks where, I mean, you're expected to win. Look, you go to Brazil and you're playing in neutral territory and you lose to the Chargers, who, granted, look good through 2 weeks.
I mean, they have a better head coach, right? You were expecting them to be better and contest for the AFC. That's the West. Okay, yeah. You were expecting them to contest for the AFC West.
I agree. I agree. But you're playing on neutral territory and you're coming off a Super Bowl. You're supposed to beat that team.
Agreed.
Week 2, you're hosting the Eagles at home.
Yes.
Jalen Hurts has pretty much 100 yards passing. They only put up 20 points.
Yep.
If you told a Chiefs fan last Wednesday Jalen Hurts has 100 passing yards and the Chiefs only put up 20 points, they would say that's a win.
Agreed.
Unfortunately, it wasn't. So I think that they're disappointed in the output as well. So I think everyone right now is asking, what's going on? And if you're a Chiefs fan, you don't need them to win by a score. You need to see them go against the Giants, who are complete wild card train wreck. And granted, they looked pretty good through most of the game last
They
week.
look like a fun team, right? They look like
They look like a fun
go out
team, right?
there and either throw the ball to the other team 5 times for 5 interceptions, or Russell Wilson's going to throw absolute bombs to Malik Neighbors down the field. You never know what you're going to get.
Look,
He's one of those
here's
type
some
of quarterbacks.
here's some interesting stats from so far this season. Russell Wilson, I believe, is leading the league in passing yards.
Yeah, if you look at the top 5 passing yards leaders list right now, it's kind of despicable.
And Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson are 2 of the top 4 in receiving yards, right?
Correct. Yep.
There is potential for them to just air the ball out. The Chiefs need to win this game dominantly in order for not only their fans, but the entire league to look at them and be like, okay, this is a good team. Because right now, there are a lot of teams that are looking at this Kansas City Chiefs team being like, okay, the Chargers did it.
Uh-huh.
The Eagles went into Arrowhead. Why can't we? And all it takes is a couple for them to start rolling, right? Because admittedly, they have been an absolute force. And just seeing that you have to go to Arrowhead and you have to play the Kansas City Chiefs is a hard enough task itself. And then actually going and winning is so much harder.
Yeah.
If you can see that it can be done, that gives teams a new kind of confidence going into there.
Yeah, I agree with your statement there. I would also say that, like, I think that this is a game that's going to have to be dominated on the offensive side of the football. I think Russell Wilson's going to have a lot of problems with Steve Spagnuolo's defensive tactics, which is kind of just like send the house, on every third down, right?
Well,
and
the way that they've been having success is down the field. It's not like
correct.
they're doing these like dig and dunk routes. Like
Yeah.
the Chargers beat them by having quick routes, right?
Right.
Like they were throwing the ball to
Right.
Ladd McConkey and they were getting the ball to Quentin Johnston.
Yep.
Right.
Who looks really good.
So I agree. I mean, I think that Spagnuolo is going to give them hell. I think the Chiefs win this game pretty handily, admittedly.
But again, I don't think this can be a defensive battle. I think they have to put up more than 24 points or something like that. Like, I think that you have to show that your offense can get it done against a weaker defense. Because even if you go back to the regular season last year, they didn't put up points. They just didn't. Now you're depleting your weapons. Yep.
To be fair, this could be a case where the entire league overreacts. Let's look at their wide receiver core right now.
Agreed.
Tyquan Thornton was their leading receiver last week.
Yeah,
Travis Kelce dropped
wide receiver too.
Wide open touchdown.
Yep.
They still have 2 premier receivers coming back. I mean, these guys are elite. Xavier Worthy is an elite receiver. Rashee Rice will now be 3 out of the 6 weeks done with his suspension. He's still going to have 10 weeks to figure it out before playoffs, right? So let's not overreact on this team. This Chiefs team is undermanned, especially on the offensive side of the ball right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think a question you have to be asking is Isaiah Pacheco a legitimate RB1?
Yep, definitely.
This is his season to prove that. So
Agreed.
far, it doesn't look like it, right? They just have a lot of questions that they have to figure out. I don't think that we'll see this Chiefs team in its real form until about week 8.
Okay.
And then I think that they're going to start getting the ball rolling. But until then, teams can go in there and do some serious damage to this Chiefs team right now. We haven't had a year where they weren't competing for the number 1 seed in years.
Correct.
Maybe we can see that this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there are a lot of question marks about the Chiefs. I have a question for the Eagles, because since this was the team that they played the last week, we were talking about it over text the other day. Jalen Hurts, you said that he threw for only 100 passing yards. When do we say that he is a bona fide top 10 quarterback? Because in the regular season, historically, he's seemingly not been that type of guy. And then obviously in the playoffs, he's turned it up. But also at the same time, you have Saquon Barkley. It's hard to really lose games with that type of offense. But I feel like his performance has kind of been underwhelming, especially when you give it when you understand that he has AJ Brown and Devonta Smith to throw the ball to. When are we going to see him take the jump to being a guy that you can say, okay, he's a perennial top 10, a top 5 guy? Because coming into the season, everybody's like, oh, Jalen Hurts is a top 10 quarterback. I just don't see it. I think
any quarterback on a team, any quarterback, well, I mean, I can't even say this because we saw Sam Darnold have 14 wins last year. He's not a top 10 quarterback, right? I think that what separates Jalen Hurts is he is such a dual threat. But this weekend, you looked at me and you were like, I know that Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback, but we don't see it week in and week out. And you're
Correct.
right. That's what makes quarterbacks great.
Yeah.
We just haven't seen it. And as you mentioned, with targets, they're not even just great talents because we see great talents all the time that aren't necessarily these guys are so reliable. They
Yeah.
catch the ball every time you throw it to them.
Yep.
Is it, and I can't put all the blame on Jalen Hurts here because we talked about this last week. They have a new offensive coordinator. I believe it's his first time in the role. They're just trying to figure out some stuff right now. If they don't have this offense figured out where they're putting up 30 points pretty much week in and week out by week 5 or 6, it becomes
Yep.
a real conversation. But right now, he's still top 10 in my opinion.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to keep coming back to you on that just because I think that this team, again, was another one of those teams that probably like squeaked by in the regular season in some games that they were supposed to win by a lot. And then they turned it up in the NFL playoffs. They were just the best team by far, and they win a Super Bowl. But I have my eye on Jalen Hurts often. I have my eye on him because I'm like, sometimes I don't see the aggression that people make him out to be such a top 5, top 10 quarterback. But I'm gonna stick with that on you as we go into the season here. Moving on, it was a big week for quarterback injuries, just as it is. Joe Burrow obviously is going to miss 3 months, 3 to 4 months with a turf toe injury that is going to take him out until around week 14, I think. Devastating blow for the Cincinnati Bengals and their fan base. We'll touch on that a little bit sooner. You also had Jaden Daniels go down this week. Justin Fields is out with a concussion.
JJ McCarthy's
JJ
out for 4
McCarthy's
weeks.
out for 4 weeks. I mean, maybe a blessing in disguise for the Vikings.
Brock Purdy got hurt last week.
Correct. But let's talk about Burrow really quickly because I mean I think that this is probably the biggest storyline. Last year he goes out, he throws for 5,000 yards and however many touchdowns, right? Jamar and T. Higgins, you re-signed them both. You're expecting that this year you've re-signed a good defensive player, Trey Henderson. Or Trey Hendrickson, I think, right?
Yep.
They got some guys in the draft. They were like, okay, we're going to bolster our defense. We'll bolster our O-line. Like this looked like a season where they were trying to take a step towards being a perennial playoff team because last year they were on the bubble. They didn't quite get over the hump. They lost a lot of early games that they were expected to win. Similar situation happens this year. Week 1, really underwhelming win. Week 2, Joe Burrow goes down. Now you have Jake Browning in the quarterback pocket. Is Jake Browning the guy that you're going to roll with for 12 weeks, 13 weeks? Or are you going to go out and try and sign a guy like a Jameis Winston? Go trade for a guy like a Kirk Cousins. What can you afford if you're the Cincinnati Bengals? And where do they go from now? Do you scratch this season? Do you say, okay, we're going to save it for next year? Do you try and go all out and get to the playoffs?
It's such a tough question, right? Because it just keeps coming back to this idea that we've been talking about it's a broken record. We've talked about this with this Bengals team for years now. And this is the 3rd time that Joe Burrow's had to miss substantial weeks in his career. And it's only his 6th year. He will have played in half of the seasons that he's been in the NFL, one of which he went to a Super Bowl, right? They have such a money problem with the guys up top that they can't afford to put money anywhere else. And at this point, you have to part with someone because your offensive line is getting your quarterback hurt. This is the time now where the Bengals have to look at it and be like, okay, we either have to get him protection or he won't play for us and he will be hurt.
Yep.
Because at this point, he's got statistics very similar to Andrew Luck, who only played 8 seasons in the NFL.
Correct.
Joe Burrow's already at 6. You don't want to see him be one of those guys who couldn't play because he was injured too much. I mean, he's an elite talent. He's the best quarterback in the history of college football.
Mm-hmm.
He's someone that needs to be on the field. Look, you get him back. He's out, 12 to 14 weeks. That puts you at week 16 when he's back. If the Bengals continue to go with a guy like Jake Browning, who threw 3 interceptions against the Jaguars, who, again, don't have a good secondary.
Yep.
You're not going to be in a position where you are looking to even get him back on the field this year. So,
Agreed.
To me, if you stick with Browning, it's a wash. If you want to try and salvage something out of the season, you have to go and make a play for a guy like Kirk Cousins or Jameis Winston. Kirk Cousins' contract's huge. I don't even know if you can afford to get him.
I don't think you can.
Jameis Winston's a veteran.
Yeah.
who you could maybe get for less money and would certainly be so fun to watch with this team. I
Mhm.
want them to go out and sign Jameis Winston if they're going to try and salvage something here. But can they afford to do it? I don't think they can. So for me, it's really frustrating because this Bengals team every year is a one that we want to watch. We want to see them be so good. They're a fan favorite, but they just can't, and they need to figure it out. So for me, if I'm the Bengals, this season's a wash. If they want to try and get something out of it, they have to go sign a guy. And for me, it's Jameis Winston.
Okay. I agree. I think Jameis Winston is probably your cheapest option here. He's the only guy who's playing on a veteran minimum contract. He's a guy that's been proven to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Look, he's one of those guys, we talk about it all the time, where they could go out and throw 5 picks and five touchdowns, or they could throw 6 picks and no touchdowns. Right? Like,
He also is a guy who's thrown for 4,500 yards in the league
correct.
before.
But he's all, in that same season, he threw for 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, something that has never been done in the league before, right? So, like, his decision making is going to be a question mark. I personally think that once Joe Burrow went down, this season became a wash. I don't see them winning without him on the field. I don't see any quarterback really winning with the type of pass protection that he has right now. To be honest with you, like, if you don't have a scrambling quarterback back there, somebody that can make a play out of the pocket, oh, it's really tough to be the Bengals quarterback. Jake Browning was getting pressured, like you said, by the Jags and was throwing interceptions to the Jags. Look, he's going to have two of the best receivers in the league on his team. That's a given. Chase Brown in the backfield, good running back, not bad. Um, but I would have to agree with you. I don't see this team being able to get over the hump in the AFC, especially without Joe Burrow. And if he is going to be missing as much time as you know as is being projected, which is 3 to 4 months to get rid of a turf toe injury, the AFC North is a tough division to win. You have the Bengals, the Ravens, the Steelers. The Browns are bad, right? And you've already beaten them, but like both the Steelers and the Ravens are going to be perennially in that 1-2 slot when it comes to wild card position and winning the division. And the biggest issue that they had last season was that they were in that division and couldn't get over the hump in some of those divisional games, right? So there's a huge question mark with the way that they played. They played poorly with Joe Burrow in weeks 1 and 2. Like they didn't look the same. Their offense wasn't clicking as well. It was clicking a little bit more in the second game before Joe Burrow goes down in the first half. But if you look at that Browns game, were you really impressed with the way that they played? I don't
Certainly
think
not. No,
so.
you're incredibly disappointed.
I don't think so, right? So I think that there is a big question mark when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals team as to what you're getting from them. And I don't see them winning without Joe Burrow on the field.
Well, and another issue that you've had is your two star receivers who are both like every single year they could go out and put up 1,300 yards, if not more. Jamar Chase won the Triple Crown last year. Both of them have been upset with the front office,
Right.
and it was hard to get them to sign deals,
Right.
like notably hard. Like the whole league was watching it. They're not going to be happy if they aren't going to have a quarterback every year. And those are guys that you need to keep happy. So it is tough, right? Like you also have one of the best defensive linemen in the league, which is another position that comes at a premium. If you're going to keep all four of these guys happy, you won't be able to sign anyone else. And that's a serious problem. So again, every single year they're a dumpster fire. This year it's worse, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Another
Yeah.
team that looks like a dumpster fire to me so far, the Houston Texans. They went on Monday Night Football and just gave up a game-winning drive in the most Baker Mayfield fashion. They came down, scored a touchdown with 7 seconds left on the clock, 4
Mhm.
seconds left on the clock.
Storm down the field. Yep.
And the question that arises here is, did CJ Stroud peak too early? Have we seen his best form in his rookie year? I mean, he had a huge sophomore slump last year. Is his best days behind him?
I mean, I think it's a really good question to ask. I mean, at some point, I feel like you can't blame the fact that his targets have been injured, right? Like you're missing Tank Dell, we get it. You're missing Joe Mixon, like we get it, right? Like Nick Chubb is your starting back. Like there are things that like you can
He looked
point to
good,
and
though.
be
He
like,
looked good.
I know he did. I know he did. I'm not saying that he didn't, right? But I mean, I guess for the skeptic, there are things that you could point to and be like, okay, maybe this is why they're losing games. But like you have Nico Collins, you have Dalton Schultz. You have players on this roster that can make plays. and their defense is consistently good, right? They held that Baker Mayfield offense to 20 points. They looked really good in that entire game, but they lost the field position battle, obviously, because the Texans couldn't keep the ball. They just had to punt on fourth down. I think D'Amico Ryan's also a good coach. You know what I mean? Like,
In my opinion, he's a top 10 coach in the NFL.
I
10,
think he put
11,
them in
he's
a
right around
position to
there.
win that game, right? Like, he got them, like, he willed them into a position to win that game. I think that if you're the Texans, you have a real problem at quarterback right now. And that is something that their front office is going to have to think about going forward, because he has not played well. And the sample size of him playing well to the sample size of him not playing well is now starting to overlap, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's a great point that you're making. In last season, you could say, okay, well, I mean, look at his rookie year and what he could have done. And to be honest with you, he was great. I thought he was on his way to becoming a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And then last year, he started to slump. And it wasn't even like you could blame it on defensive pressure or you could blame it on him like not being able to. He just missed a bunch of easy throws and a bunch of reads that he should have done better on. So I agree with you. They have a real problem.
Yep. Yeah, I
Another,
mean,
yeah, sorry.
it is important to note, like, he is a 23-year-old quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he's running out of time in the league, right? And obviously an 0-2 start is something that's bad, but like he like statistically, he's playing worse than Bryce Young right now at this point in his career. A guy that has perennially been seen and looked at and been like, that guy's probably going to bust out of the NFL. You know what I mean? Like that's the level that we're playing at right now, which is not good if you're the Texans. And it's also a team that like has always been in a weaker division. Like, we mentioned it all the time when we say that the Texans are probably going to have a very similar season to the one that they had last year. So there is a real chance that this team gets back to the playoffs. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, they're not going. This is not a Super Bowl caliber team, even if they win their division.
I mean, but even in their division now, they're starting to. It's a division of young quarterbacks. I mean, look at the Indianapolis Colts. I know that people probably thought I was joking last week when I said that I think Daniel Jones has a legitimate shot of winning the AFC South for the Colts. He's been one of the best quarterbacks in football through 2 weeks. I mean, at what point do you look at them and seriously think this team might come for us? At what point do you look at the Jaguars and think, okay, this team won the division 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't they do it again? The Texans were looking like they were going to take the AFC South by storm for the next 5 or 6 years.
Yep.
Right now, they're a huge question mark. I mean, Anthony Richardson is another quarterback who's in that situation of, am I going to get my starting job back? And right now, it looks like no. Is Daniel Jones going to be one of those guys who went in, found a new home, and they embraced it, and he becomes like a pretty good quarterback, like we saw in Sam Darnold last year, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
If I'm the Texans, I'm worried about losing the title of being the most dominant team in this division, and I don't think that's unfair.
Yep. Agreed.
Let's stick with the Jags, because my brother asked me this question, and to me it's a good one. Is Brian Thomas Jr. having a sophomore slump? And for me,
Go ahead.
me, I think that it's not really his fault. I mean, he's in my eyes, a good receiver. But he had 1 reception in week 1. It was for a touchdown, but he had 1 reception in week 1.
Yep.
He had 4 receptions on 12 targets in week 2. Now, that number to me screams bad quarterback play, which I think that a lot of people saw in Trevor Lawrence. But it is a good question. He had a couple drops in there. Like, is he going to be able to figure it out?
Yeah, I mean, he's only had 3.2 yards per target right now, which is a problem. I just think that I just don't see Trevor Lawrence as a really good quarterback. Like, I never really have. And I mean, they've been playing against teams that are maybe a little bit above their pay grade if you really look at it on paper. But Brian Thomas hasn't looked good. Travis Hunter hasn't looked good. That's the guy that you just drafted number 3 overall.
But he gets a little leeway.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't look good as a cornerback either. Right. So like we talked about him being a potential bust watch if we were going to talk about one player from that draft that we were like, I'm not really sure how he fits. I'm not really sure how he fits, you know? But at the same time, like, this is one of the first times that we've seen a Trevor Lawrence season where he started the year off healthy and he is still underperforming, right? So like, when do we say maybe the issue isn't necessarily with our receiving core and it's with our quarterback?
I think it's fair. Another issue, I mean, we were only talking issues in the NFL this week. We're not
Yep.
giving many props, but we got one more big issue to talk about before we get into picks. New England Patriots went into Miami, and it was one of those games where, for me, we were watching a football game, and I think that we're used to in the past couple years watching a Patriots game and saying, all right, like if we win, it's great, but if we lose, it's like whatever because we're not supposed to win. This week, I was watching that Dolphins game, and it was very much out of like a, no, we're going to win this game because we need to win this game because we're a good football team. And they did what they had to win.
Yep.
Huge, huge interception leading to a scoring drive where the Patriots took the lead. Baraugas, is that his name? The kicker
The
missed two
kicker.
extra points. He looked horrible, but he came down and he kicked a 53-yard field goal. Pats took the lead, and then Milton Williams on fourth down had a huge sack on Tua Tagovailoa. So one storyline you could look at is the Patriots are maybe starting to figure it out. They looked like they were starting to figure it out, even though they need Christian Gonzalez back in that secondary so badly.
Yes.
On the other side of the coin, that's a game that those Miami Dolphins were expected to win. They're favorites at home. First time we've won in Miami since 2019 when Antonio Brown was a Patriot.
Yep.
When do you look at Mike McDaniel and say, dude, you're done. You're done. He's clearly lost the locker room. They probably aren't going out and playing for him. He's giving press conferences like he doesn't give a shit about his job right now. So how much longer does he have before they just move on from him entirely?
I think he'll be gone by week 5, to be honest with you. I think week 1 having a players only meeting is a really bad sign when it comes to being an HC in the league. Look, I think that he's a guy that we look at from, one of those really good offensive coaching scheme trees, right? He came from the Shanahan tree, I think, right?
I think he came from the McVay tree.
I think you're right. But that being said, like, I think he's going to be an offensive coordinator in this league, kind of the way that we saw Robert Saleh not succeed in the Jets. And now he's back with the 49ers being their DC and leading them to success. I just don't think that he is head coach material. And the honest truth of it is that, like, he's a very analytical guy and the offense always looked good under him. But the pieces that he has equipped to this roster are not clicking. Tua Tagovailoa is not a great quarterback, just as it is. But he's better than the way that he's played these first 2 weeks. You have Tyreek Hill as a target, right? You're paying him, $20-30 million a year. You're hoping that he's going to be a guy that steps up for you. You had A-Chain and who was the other back? It was Mostert 2 years ago that really lit the world on fire from that Miami Dolphins backfield. But the fact of the matter is that they couldn't win on the road under Mike McDaniel, and now they can't win at all, right? So you look at this team, which people going into the season said, okay, Mike McDaniel's going to be on the hot seat just because of the way that they played last year. Oh, man, he's going to be gone soon. And I'm sure he'll be scooped up by a different program and probably be on the offensive side of the ball. But, it's been a rough tenure if you're a Miami Dolphins fan for Mike McDaniels.
Yeah, I think for me, no one expects them to go into Buffalo on Thursday and win.
No.
I think that's maybe when he gets fired if they don't put up a good game at all. If not, I think it's week 4. Let's see who they're playing.
Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, take a look at that.
They're playing the Jets on Monday night.
Okay.
Maybe he makes it through then, and then he gets fired. They got Bills, Dolphins, Panthers, Chargers. That Chargers game I've circled as they're going to lose that one and he's going to get fired. I think if they get destroyed by the Bills on Thursday night, you could see him fired by Friday morning, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. It's always a bad sign when you see those press conferences, like you said, and there's no real emotion, right? There's no anger. There's no sadness. There's no, this is what we're going to do. There's no, there seems to be no game plan from Mike McDaniel. He's kind of accepted his fate, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think that's right. Like, normally when you see coaches going to press conferences, they're going to talk about what they're going to do moving into next week. They talk about, I'm not really one to take a lot from press conferences, but what I took from that was he's kind of like a turtle who's fallen over on his back. He's just like helplessly with his like arms and legs in the air going like this, like, someone please come save me. And I think that if he gets fired, it would be a chance for him to go reinvent his career, like what you said, as an offensive coordinator, because he's one of those guys that could be a really great offensive mind in this league. But he's just not head coach material. So I do agree with you. All right, let's get into our picks for this week.
Yeah, let's do
I'm
it.
hot. I'm blazing hot.
Very hot. Very hot.
We haven't had very many 5-0 weeks in the history of this show. It's probably only a handful.
We've had a few.
A few.
But yes, it's definitely a rarity for us to have one this early in the season as well. Um,
Mhm.
it's impressive. It's impressive stuff from you. I give you all the props. But for those of you who don't know how we do this, every week we pick 5 games in the NFL, 3 games where we take the spread, and then a game of the week and a not game of the week, which we just pick a team that we think is going to win. Jack won last week. He went 5-0. I went 3-2 on my picks. That means that Jack gets to pick first which game he likes the most, and then he'll talk about why that is. So, JB, take it away. Tell me who your first pick in the NFL is this week for the spread.
My first pick this week is the Green Bay Packers. I thought that they just completely dominated the Commanders last week on Thursday Night Football, and they dominated the Lions week 1. They're hot right now. They seem to they have the deepest wide receiver depth chart in the league. It's not really even like a close second place. It feels like they can kind of put anyone in any position, and Matt LaFleur's game plan offensively is just so compact right now. It's just
Mm-hmm.
so well run that they're going to carry out how they please. And Josh Jacobs looks great too. And they're playing the Cleveland Browns this week, who, I mean, let's be honest, they're kind of looking at a wash season this year. I got Packers minus 7.5. I think they go and win by more than a touchdown,
Yeah,
considerably more than a touchdown.
I think that's a good pick. I mean, Matt LaFleur does have this team looking really good, this offense in particular. Shout out their defense, too, though. With Micah Parsons still only playing about 50% of the snaps on the ball throughout the first 2 weeks as he learns the playbook. It looks really good. It looks
To
really
be
good at
honest
a
with
high
you,
level.
being an edge rusher, not that hard to learn the playbook. It's rush the
Yep.
quarterback.
Yep. With that being said, I'm sure you'll see more Micah Parsons as these weeks go on. I think that's a good pick from you. My first pick, this game is very heavily, it's not one that I could see going both ways. I think that the Colts will win this game. I have Colts minus 4.5 over the Titans because I don't think Tennessee is very good. That being said, I am putting my money behind Daniel Jones, which is something that I don't love to do, just because I don't necessarily know if he's proven enough 2 weeks into his reinvented NFL career with this Colts team to warrant that. That being said, they have Jonathan Taylor in the backfield and some other really good players on this team, and I just think the Titans aren't that good. So I'm going to take the Colts minus 4.5 over the Titans in a
Yeah,
division matchup.
that was gonna be my second pick. Jonathan Taylor, I'm praying to God that he doesn't get hurt because he looks like he's about to have one of those seasons where he just takes the league by storm.
Yep.
And we've seen it before. I mean,
Yep.
he has looked phenomenal through the first 2 weeks.
Agreed.
My second pick, I took the Bucks last week, and it was a sweat. I took them plus 2.5 against the Texans. They won on a last-second touchdown drive. I'm riding with the boys here. I got them minus 6.5 over the Jets. No Justin Fields. I just don't know what they're going to do, to be honest with you. Pretty sure the Bucks are playing at home. I like them to win by a touchdown over the Jets.
Yeah, I think that's another good pick. I don't know what Aaron Glenn's game plan here will be, especially since he's a defensive-minded HC and now one of your best offensive players won't be playing. That'll be a struggle for them. My second pick here, I like the Chargers minus 2.5 over the Broncos. They're playing at home. I don't think Bo Nix has played entirely well thus far. It's another divisional matchup, but I do think that Harbaugh will get them over the hump here and get the job done against the Broncos, even though I think this will be a heavily contested game. I think they win by a field goal.
All right, in my last pick, the Chicago Bears are 0-2. They got completely annihilated by the Detroit Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I don't think the Cowboys have looked great through the first 2 weeks. I think they look good enough to win or lose by less than 2 points against the Bears. I got them plus 1.5.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I think the Bears have looked like an absolute dumpster fire so far, and I really don't hate that at all. My last pick here, I mean, we just talked about this team, but that being said, they are going into Jacksonville, someplace that they probably should win if I had to put money on it. I'm going to take the Houston Texans plus 1.5 over the Jags. I just think that this is the week that the Texans start to kind of figure it out, get in a direction where they're going to either win or lose by less or more than 1 point against the Jags. But I mean,
I think it's a good pick.
there's no reason
I
that
think
this Texans team shouldn't be able to beat the Jags the way that they played so far.
agreed, and I think that it's a week where you have at this point. I mean, they're 0-2 going into Jacksonville. If they're 0-3 leaving Jacksonville, then you have to have a serious conversation about the direction of the team. So
Agreed.
either you win or the Texans are on fraud watch.
Yep. Yep.
All right,
I
let's get
would
into
agree
game of
with
the
that.
week. We got Lions, Ravens in Baltimore. Look, this is, to me, it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Mhm.
Baltimore honestly, they didn't look great against the Browns last week.
Okay.
It kind of was a game through
Yeah.
most of it.
Yep.
The Lions are coming off a 50 ball against the Bears.
Yep.
If this is an offensive shootout, which I have a feeling that it will be, I'm
Mhm.
going to give the edge to the Lions. Even though I don't really trust what they've got going on so far, I think it's going to be an offensive battle. I got Lions in this one.
Okay. I don't hate that pick at all. I think this is a really interesting game because one of these teams is going to have to drop to 1-2 on the season. Um, I don't think it's going to be the Baltimore Ravens, though. I really don't. I think that the Lions have too many holes in their defense right now that this team will be able to exploit. And I think the Ravens are just a better defensive team than the Bears are. Right. I think the Ravens will give the Lions a lot more problems than the Bears did. And that being said, whenever your quarterback is Lamar Jackson lining up behind center, something's going to happen that's going to be explosive. I agree this will probably be a shootout, but I'm going to take the Ravens here.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Let's move into not game of the week.
Okay.
Hey, Cardinals fans, you get a week off. First 2 weeks, you were not game of the week.
Yeah.
You're getting a reprieve.
Awesome stuff. Same with the Panthers.
We got a
Congrats,
same with the
Panthers.
Panthers. Yeah, look, Panthers. Yep, through 3 weeks, you've only been on not game of the week once. Congratulations to you guys. This week we got battle of the backups. No Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. No JJ McCarthy in Minnesota. We got the Browning versus Wentz Bowl, Bengals Vikings here. I have no idea who to take. I still think that Jake Browning can kind of throw to his receivers. Vikings defense hasn't looked awesome. Actually, that's definitely not true. I'm sorry. The Vikings defenses look great. Shit. Vibes pick here. I'm going Bengals. Give me Cincinnati.
All right. I want the Vikings here, so you're good with that. I think that Carson Wentz is always a good backup to have. NFL Rookie of the Year. Just wanted to throw that out there. And
Cool.
Super Bowl champion.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm taking the Vikings here. He is also the first quarterback to ever start for 6 consecutive seasons on 6 different NFL teams. So
Can you name them?
Kansas City, Minnesota, probably Philadelphia.
All right, you got 3 of them.
Okay. Are they gettable or are they just like
No,
Indianapolis?
Indianapolis.
Where else has he played?
You got 2 more here.
Okay.
22 and 23. 23 is not really that gettable. 22 definitely. He played in 2022.
He played it.
He played 8 games and started 7 of them.
Oof. Indianapolis. Where did he go after Indianapolis? That's the question. He never played for Cleveland. Hold on. Give me a second here. Let me pull up the teams. NFL.
It's a bad look as a sports show. Having to
It
look
is
up
pretty bad.
NFL
Well,
teams.
I know, but like I want to be able to cross them off in my head as I look at them.
Feels like cheating, but we'll let it slide.
Okay, fine. I'm probably still not going to get them, to be honest with you. Did he play for
I'll
the
give you one
Commies?
strike. He was a commander. Yes.
Okay, that
22,
wasn't
you got-
that wasn't the 8-game season though. That was the
That was the 8
that was the 8-game season. All right, so
Yep.
this is the one. This is the pick.
I'll give you one strike.
Okay.
I wouldn't have gotten this one. I had these 5. I did not have the last one.
This is 2023. You said 2023.
He played 2 games and he started one of them.
Okay.
So
Okay,
he
so
was a
he was
backup.
definitely a backup. It was the team that he was a backup on before he went to Kansas City. Could be anybody. I'm
You
gonna
got
go
one
with.
strike.
I'm gonna take my strike on the Raiders.
Not the Raiders.
Okay,
Not an AFC team.
back against the wall here. Not an AFC team.
Not an AFC team.
Is it the Los Angeles Rams?
It's the Los Angeles
Dang,
Rams.
dude, let's
Good
go.
job. Good job. I did not think you had that, to be
Dang,
honest with
dude,
you.
let's go. Let's go. Pulled it out the fire. There.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with a recap of week 3 and a preview of week 4. But until then, as always, this has been in the Corner Office, and I'm Jack Byrne.
It's Penders. Going 3.